This is my formerly abandoned BMW E28, and it's been sitting for about 6 months because I've been too lazy to work on my project car, which is this, obviously. There's a lot we have to get done on it.
Now, my ownership with this car started when I picked it up from a farm where it sat for nearly 6 years. And after all that time of baking in the Australian sun, it's developed a few issues, as you'd expect. And ever since I got this car home, I've been slowly working on things to make it drivable. Down there. Third. This is crazy. But there's been one major problem with this car from the beginning. It doesn't idle properly. So hopefully in today's video, we can fix that issue along with a bunch of other issues to get it roadworthy.
Now, minus the obvious things on this car, like the terrible paintwork that completely needs to be stripped and repainted, there's a lot of minor things as well as the brakes that still don't function properly after attempting to fix them multiple times. We've got a bunch of other stuff to do, including cleaning out the throttle body to get this car to run properly because it still doesn't idle properly despite everything I've done to it. So that being said, I've made a checklist of everything that needs to be done probably in today's video, and hopefully we can find the parts we need because a lot of the stuff, it's kind of custom on this car, so I don't really know where I can find it. I basically have to go hunting based on what I see or possibly ask ChatGPT to try and find me identical copies. But for now, I've got to take off and find the new brakes and new brake discs because this car has different brakes on it. I believe they're off a 7 series of the same age, but I could be wrong. So I'm going to have to take off the rotor and the pad, take them to the parts shop and try and find ones that match. In the meantime, I've also got to get a new bleed screw for the other side because the one I bought ages ago doesn't work properly and doesn't fit properly. The only bleed screw I could find for this car that matches the one on this side, believe it or not, is like $200 for a bleed screw, which obviously I'm not going to buy. So we're going to find one that works. We've also got to investigate the nasty oil leak that this car has because in the time it sat in this garage, it's leaked out probably half of the oil that it had in it. And obviously I don't want to run it on low oil because this is a pretty good motor, so I don't want to ruin it. So we're going to find where that oil leak's coming from, top it up with oil, try and reseal it if we can in today's video. Another goal of mine is to try and clean off the rust off this rear chrome so it doesn't get any worse because the chrome on this car is one of my favorite parts about it. I also need new molding chrome for the front windshield and the rear as well, but I don't have that. It's on order. It hasn't arrived yet. So in the meantime, we're going to try and touch up some of the trim on this car and hopefully get it to look a little bit more original. That includes the side skirts as well.
Now I know what you're thinking. Liam, what's the point of restoring all the trim when the paint is all rusted and cracked? Well, that's because I want to wrap the car. And obviously if you wrap over bad paint, you will see the bad paint and blemishes through the wrap. But this is because this is only going to be temporary. I don't have enough money right now to paint the whole car, so I want to cover it up as best as I can and be able to enjoy it while I drive it.
So before we attempt to get the rusted brakes off this car, I'm just going to go over the easy stuff first, which is polishing up all this plastic and hopefully fixing up some of the chrome, including the chrome on the front bumper as well. As you can see, it's super faded, but this stuff worked really well on my Land Cruiser, so we're going to attempt to do it on this car as well as on the side skirts down there that you can see in the corner. Super easy, just put a little bit of polish on a microfiber and get to work. As you can see, it makes an instant difference, and it's lasted for the last 2 weeks on my Land Cruiser, so hopefully it lasts a bit longer than that on this. Can you remove rust with tin foil and water? I saw a hack online that said you can remove rust off chrome with a bit of tin foil, so we're gonna give it a crack. Let's see if it's true. As you can see, it's pretty bad, and honestly, it's just gonna get worse. So now, the moment of truth. Has it fixed it? There is no way that works so well. It is actually all gone. That is crazy. A bit of tin foil. Now I'm just gonna hit it with a bit of polish, and hopefully it'll be like new. Now time to get into the hard job, getting these brakes off because I know for a fact they're going to be rusted through. So we're probably going to have to drill out the guide screw, which is unfortunate. Now, the biggest pain when it comes to these kind of brakes is this right here. And this is gonna be a massive pain in the ass, and I'm probably gonna have to drill it out and go without it because it's definitely gonna be rusted through. I have never on a single BMW I've owned had this screw come out on the first shot. And would you believe it if I told you that on the 40-year-old car that sat abandoned for 6 years under a farm shed, it actually comes out. I'm in disbelief. I'm actually in disbelief that that even turns. Question is, will it come out all the way? So far, so good. Out she comes. So after a bit of research based on the part number on this brake caliper, I'm pretty sure these brakes are off an E34 540, so there's a V8 model of a newer gen, which means that I can indeed find brakes, discs and pads online for them for only about 200 bucks for a front set, so not bad. But I'm still gonna take these off just so I can get a look at the pad to make sure they look the same as the ones I'm about to buy. So now is where we get into the fun part. I've got to take off the throttle body to make sure it's actually clean and that it opens properly when I press the accelerator, because for now, it's not idling properly. But before I do that, I've got to remove all the air intake, which luckily on this car is super easy. It's only a couple bolts. First, air intake comes off, AFM comes off, idle air control valve comes off, and PCV comes off. And then we can remove the throttle body. So we got the air intake off, now we've got to get the intake tube off, and then the rest of it will come off easily. As you can see, we have this throttle body visible, and it doesn't look too bad, but I'm still going to remove it anyway, just in case. Now before I remove the throttle body, I have to take off the actual cables from here, which is just some little plastic clips. Brittle, so I have to be careful that they don't snap. Everything on this car has come out pretty easily. Now I'm just going to clean out the throttle with some of this throttle body cleaner, which is actually carby cleaner, but it's the same thing. Now that we have the throttle body off and I've cleaned it a little bit, it opens pretty much the same, so I'm not confident this was our issue. But what I'm going to do now, before I put all this back on, is I'm going to clean the valve cover and wire brush it and try and polish it up a little bit, because as you can see, I've started here and it looks pretty damn good. So hopefully we can hit the rest of it and have a pretty good looking valve cover by the end of this. This is the before, as you can see, and this is after a few minutes of polishing. So we're going to hit the rest of it and I'll show you once it's done. And that's after about 15 minutes of wire brushing. Obviously it's not perfect, but I kind of like this polished look. It looks pretty cool. And honestly, if we went over it with some metal polish, it'll probably come out even nicer. But to get a better result, probably have to go at it for longer. Right now, it's 30 something degrees and I am boiling hot. So we're gonna leave this to sit for a little bit. Now, as you can see, we have the throttle body here and it does have a gasket on here, but I don't think this gasket is very good anymore. So I'm gonna do something that you probably should not do and add some gasket maker to the gasket so that it seals properly. Is this a smart solution? Not really, but it's also not going to do anything that terrible, because I'm just going to put a thin layer along the outside just so I know that it's sealed properly, because I don't want any air escaping in between this and the air intake. And now time to put it back on the car. And now it's time to just put everything back together. See, sometimes on your cars, the easiest solution to your problem is the answer. What I just found under the intake is probably why this car has not been idling properly, and you would not believe how stupid it is. This right here is a 19mm piece of heater hose that connects to the intake air control valve. And as you can see, it's in pretty bad shape, but it's not the top that's the main issue. It's this kink, which is very hard to see on camera. I will get the light in closer. As you can see, it's completely kinked, which means as soon as it gets warm, it just seals. And you need air to be going through there at idle, because that's where the air comes from the ICV. So that goes straight into the manifold. So down there, as you can see. So I'm going to take that off, put the new piece of hose on, and then attempt to start this car and see how it sounds. Now, see, in my mind, this makes perfect sense, because you've got a hose that's kinked that's meant to allow air through at idle, isn't allowing air through at idle. So it should mean that that is the problem, but there's still a chance that it's not, and which means it'll be something more major. So hopefully this fixes it. I'm actually praying that it does. Now, after about 15 minutes of fighting that hose, I finally got it out. As you can see, it's definitely kinked. There's barely anything coming through there, and there's also a massive crack in it. So if this isn't our problem, then I'll be really stumped. As you can see, we've got another meter of heater hose, which is exactly what was used on that. It's a 19mm inside, so this should work just fine. Now we're just gonna take the clamps off the old one and put it on the new one. Now that we have it all back together, there's a bit of a mission getting this new hose on. It is very hard to get down there in that tiny little section. We have it all on. Now we're gonna test start it.
And now for the verdict. After 6 months of this car sitting in my ownership and nearly 6 years of it sitting on a farm without running, will a $10 piece of hose be the major problem behind this car's idling?
As you can see, we have the car running, but it's pretty fucking loud and it's idling quite a lot better. So maybe it paid off what I did. Oh, that's fucking sick. I'm so happy.